Community School Corporation School Board Special Meeting. If I turn this on. Call to order the TCSC School Board Special Meeting. We're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. So, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Next on our agenda is the tentative agreement presentation. I'll hand it over to Dr. Glaze.
Thank you very much, Rob. And so just kind of briefly, we're going to go through how our new what our tentative agreement is, just kind of talk a little bit about money, talk a little bit about language changes. But it should not be a long presentation, but please feel free to ask any questions. We do have a 1-year agreement. And again, just to refresh all of your memories, we can only do a 2-year agreement because you can't have an agreement going over the biennial budget. So this is a 1-year agreement. One of the big benchmarks that we want to make sure is we are over the 45,000. So our starting pay will be 46,000. 45,000 is the minimum pay. We were able to give a $500 base increase to the salary. And we also provided a retention stipend bonus of $750, and we did have some language changes as part of the contract. One of the things that was a goal for me, we didn't have a lot of money to give, so we wanted to get some language that would really help our teachers and provide for really. We have a very young teaching staff that's having babies. And so we want to try to mimic the public sector and try to do some things with paternity leave, maternity leave, and also foster and adoptive leave. So we were able to do some of that, which I think is a start, and I think we can add to that as we move forward. We'll issue that in December. It'll just be a one-time check.
This contract is retroactive to the start of the school year?
Correct.
So we owe them all money?
Not all of them,
Wow.
but everybody that was here last year that had an effective or highly effective, which they did.
But the pay increase also that they haven't
Yeah.
been getting for
Right.
Brian,
So it'll all be retroactive to the beginning of the school year.
But somebody who started as a teacher in August is not going to get the stipend.
They can't because it's going to be it's required that they have an evaluation with us the year before. So any new hire or any first year teacher would not get the stipend. Yeah. So just to kind of give you a general overview of the last few years, we've made significant progress, I think, in our beginning teacher salary, an increase of $9,000 over the last 6 years. We've had some really good funding years, as you can tell. We were able to make some considerable increases in the past. And so I feel like that, again, I feel like we did pretty well this year. But once again, we've hit those thresholds where we are, again, within state compliance and everything else. So for first and second year teachers, you know what? I left that stupid thing off. Okay, I messed that up. I apologize. That should be for first year teachers. So line A teachers, and really anybody that was hired this year will get the $500 increase. So apologize. I actually made a copy of last year's and I left that from last year. So I apologize. So the header is wrong, but line A would be the $500 base increase, and then any teacher that is a new hire this year would be the $500 increase. And then really anybody line B or above on our pay schedule would receive the $500 base increase. They would be eligible to move down, which is a $1,000 increment. And so that makes it $1,500. And then the one-time stipend of $750. Retention bonus, so a total of $2,250 for most of our folks. We did add some additional compensation areas. The state of Indiana requires us to add additional dollars for students who possess the literacy endorsement. And so they're also, in the following year, they're requiring us to label additional academic needs. So we just went ahead and did this in this contract. We've labeled our academic need areas as special education, science, and math, because those are areas that we have a hard time filling positions. So anybody that would be in those areas, that are teaching in those areas, would get an additional $250. If you have the literacy endorsement, you would get $300. And we also are able to increase the summer school pay from $37.50 to $45 per hour. And again, we don't have a really hard time getting people to do summer school, but again, we made that $37.50 6 years ago. And, just with inflation, we can do a minor adjustment there, which really won't cost us a lot of money.
And that's regardless of subject and years of experience.
Correct.
That's not how they used to do it.
Yeah, that's correct.
We
It
won't
used to
go
be
into
your
your salary.
your daily rate,
Yeah.
divided by the hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
About how many teachers have the literacy?
We only have one, but we have that's taken the test. We have several that have completed the training. They're just waiting to take the test because the state pays for
One test?
one test, and so they want to make sure they're ready to go. Yeah, and so we will have several more starting next year, but right now we just have one who has taken the test. That is Mrs. Bittner, who is one of our third grade teachers. Yeah. So we also talked a little bit about fringe benefits. I mentioned that a little bit earlier. We are able to do a five paid days. And after that, they can use their benefit days. So basically, in most businesses, and particularly in the private sector, you do get a paid maternity leave. Some of them go up to 6 weeks. We initially suggested going 10 days. In part of the negotiation process, because we just kind of wanted to see how it rolled. We came back to 5 days. Again, this is we've run the reports. This is going to be a very small impact on us. Typically, when we have someone covering a maternity leave or any kind of a leave like this, they're paid 10 days at sub rate, which is basically around $100. Could be $125 depending on if they've retired from us or not. So basically, it's pretty low dollar impact. But right now we're at 5 days. That may be something that in the future is extended out to 10 days. But it's a good start. And again, with the youth of our staff, we're excited they're having kids, and hopefully they're all going to be Blue Devils.
Yeah, I think for you too, if you've read the contract, this is like 3.5 pages, and it's,
Yeah.
we repeated it for each of those areas because we wanted the teachers to read the details. Next year, when we do this, we're going to consolidate it down to parental leave, and it's
Right.
going to incorporate all this. So it's really.
Right now, maternity has its own paragraph.
right.
And it says all the same thing, but
Yeah.
we thought, well, if they're reading a new contract, we want them to see the details. Then next year we can squash
Squash
it
it together.
down,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So it looks a little
A little-
wordy in the
Yep.
contract.
And it is.
But from a business perspective,
Right.
we can scrunch this down next year and get a little more concise after we get it implemented. So
Right. And again, to be more family friendly, currently teachers are allowed to move 8 sick days to family illness days. We allowed them to move 10, so we gave them 2 additional days. So the family illness days can be for anybody, with kids sick, even, parents sick, anything like that. So it just kind of gives a little bit of flexibility and the ability to add a couple more days. They're, again, trying to be more family friendly and more family focused. One of the sad but true things that we needed to add was absence due to injury or disability from a student assault. And this is something that's becoming more and more frequent in contracts. And again, this is just a safeguard for our teachers, which essentially is saying if they're injured or disabled due to a student assault, that it's not going to take their benefit days, that there would be days that we would offer them. Also has a little bit of language about workers' compensation and how workers' compensation will work. So it's one of those sad but true realities of where we are right now.
And there is a process in place for the board that if a teacher suggests there's been an assault, there's
Yes.
a process where people come in and investigate that. There's a group and then determination of,
Approval of,
exactly,
right,
because assault is, I mean, legally, that word means something,
Yeah,
but
right,
in the real
right.
world. So there isn't just the ability to say there's been an assault. There's a process behind it before we would enact the policy. So I thought just
Right. No, that's
making
great.
sure that
No.
the board understands that we're doing this, but we're also trying to make sure that the school and the teacher are protected by
Right.
the investigation, that kind of thing.
There
And-
would have been an incident report or something
Correct.
filed.
Absolutely.
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 Yep.
And then we, like Rob said, we have a team that comes in and just kind of basically, it's our threat assessment group.
Yeah.
And they just come in, they talk about, the whole process, what happened, how everything was handled. Should we have done something differently? And then, of course, if it's not obvious, there's been, and in most cases, we've only had one of these. I'm gonna be really honest. We had one last year. We just kind of handled it. And that teacher was out a few days. And we worked with the teacher and again, they went through the workers' compensation process. It's one of those things that you're sorry you have to add.
Yeah.
So,
You said the whole state was.
it's becoming more and more frequent. Not everybody has the actual language, but it's becoming more and more frequent. And that came from ISTA.
That's from the teachers
Yeah,
and
and-
lawyers.
And they were, and I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, I think it's probably time,
And the
unfortunately.
ambiguity around assault, because I can assault you verbally, right? So there isn't always like pictures to be taken or something like that, but I can also inflict trauma on you verbally, right? So I think we need to broaden that a little bit to make sure that, yes,
Again, there would have been some sort of incident.
Right.
yes,
right,
exactly.
right, right.
And then that threat assessment team assembles and, kind of does their due diligence. But I agree with the Teachers Association on this. It needs to be in there, and then where we end and workers' comp begins, there needed to be some delineation in that as well. So,
Right. And once again, my math is wrong down there at the bottom. I don't know where I got to a 5. But anyway, I apologize for that. So our recurring costs, which is really what we were trying to investigate the most. This is what happens when the Colts are losing and I'm doing a PowerPoint. So our recurring costs, which is really what we were trying to focus on. We ended up having a recurring cost of 146,300, which was, really pretty much where we were wanting to be. We were able to do a little bit more because of our increase in enrollment. And then we wanted to be able to provide a little bit more and that one-time retention stipend and how much that's going to cost us, around $66,750. And then that number down below is wrong, but I'll be glad to get that number to you. I think it's fairly close, but I think the last digits are turned. Anyway, so again, I feel like that we were able to give a little bit of a base increase, which is great. And the recurring costs were pretty much where we needed them to be. In addition, and I know this is in your packet, the rest of the staff will be getting a one-time stipend in order to protect our recurring costs. And just with the unknowns of what's going on with SEA one, I don't want to tie us down to a lot of recurring costs that in turn could force us to make some staffing decisions later. Any questions on any of that? Besides my bad math and distractions.
Yeah, I had two quick questions.
Sure.
How do we compare?
We've only really heard from what Western is doing, and our actual base increase is a little better than Western.
Because Tri
but-
Central went pretty crazy with their
Sorry.
starting. Didn't Tri Central really raise their starting pay a year or two ago?
They did a few years ago. I think, I
probably
have not
pretty
heard
close.
what they ended up doing, but what they were doing is pretty similar.
Yeah.
I knew what they were suggesting. I don't know what they finalized. But I think their base increase, I think we're pretty close on what their base is.
I mean, young teachers, if they are looking to come out this way, that's
Yeah.
makes a difference. So
I agree.
Look from the ones I've seen, it looks,
Yeah.
the starting pay is the one I'm interested in, right?
I
'Cause
agree.
That's
I agree.
And on that note, there's that, and I'm going to say this publicly. Dr. Lays did not say this. The legislative arbitrary average pay number that when people retire and you bring on new people and your average goes down, and that somehow is a problem.
Yep.
Have you run the math on that? How we look?
Yeah.
I don't care, but
Well,
other
I mean,
than-
obviously we didn't make that threshold this year.
yeah.
We have not run the math with this.
I mean, raising pay will help with the retirements.
I'll be on that list every year.
Yeah,
Because
I don't care.
I
I
don't
just-
think it's fair.
We don't get in trouble, right? It's just an arbitrary
And
goal.
And we had to post the notice on our website. We talked about it in our meeting.
Yeah.
So we did what is required. Again, I'm not sure how you can hit two of the thresholds that we're supposed to and
Right.
not hit the third one. But that's going to happen as long as we have teachers retire and we're replacing them with younger teachers. It's just the way it's going to be. And hopefully they'll review that. Although I'm going to say they've known that the last couple of years.
I'm more than happy to call anyone and tell
Please-
them it's
Please
stupid.
do that because it just doesn't make any
It
sense.
doesn't make any sense.
And one of the things that I think that, I don't mean to go off the rails here, but there was a report that that was part of a summer study commission regarding teacher pay, administrator pay comparisons, and it was really not what a lot of the General Assembly wanted to see. What they saw was that we were managing money pretty well, that the actual ratio of administrators to students was far higher than it was 2 years ago. And that there's not that much of a differentiation in pay between administrators and teachers. And again, that's the frustrating part because we're constantly, well, they're just mismanaging the funds that we give them, and we're not.
Yeah.
I mean, we are trying to do the best we can for our people. And if you're not doing that, shame on you. But I have to feel like the vast majority of school corporations in the state of Indiana are giving the money that they can to their teachers because we all want
You're
to have
competing
good
for
staff.
those people. So,
Right.
yeah. I agree.
And so, again, I think it's just important to get the word out that, you know what, you make us run all these reports. All these reports point to the same resolution, to the same conclusion, but yet we still get criticized.
I mean, look at the starting pay. It's up almost 30% in 6 years. I mean,
24% increase on the bottom end, 17 on the top end.
I did-
Nobody else, that's good. right?
Yeah.
Like, nobody else in the room has had 24% increase over the last 4 years in your base.
well, maybe the fast food people during COVID.
Go-
Well, that could be.
For some reason, $20 an hour.
But, yeah. So,
Well, I'd like to say that if we get them here, they'll stay.
Oh, I agree, totally.
Yeah.
And we're having some conversation that we'll share with you guys later about how to do a little bit more there.
Yeah.
With some cooperation from some other entities. So,
Yeah.
again,
The new
let's keep
teachers,
our young
yes.
people here.
Yeah.
Let's do what we can to keep them here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, and the only other thing I would add before we wrap this up is, when you get in, when you're involved in the ISBA and stuff like that, you hear these horror stories about contract and negotiation and all this stuff. And we really publicly need to thank our teachers and that
Oh, yeah.
association.
Yeah.
They are unbelievably well prepared.
Yes.
They understand the limitations that we're operating within. And they were, I mean, if everybody negotiated the way the school and the teachers did, this would be a greater world to live in. It was just, but I wanted to publicly thank
Yeah.
the teachers,
Yes.
because there were no outrageous demands. There was no anything like that. They understood the boat and the storm that we're in, right? So I think it's important that, we don't always hear that, like
Right.
teachers and schools and teachers union having this contentious relationship. And for us, it's just not that way. It's a really good working relationship, and that leadership that is not here today, but because they're doing their job, it deserves a lot of credit.
I agree.
So,
Yeah, they're great to work with, and
Yep.
and again, they understand.
Yep.
You know, and we're on our side. We're really transparent. We're just like, here it is,
That helps.
guys.
Yeah.
That helps a lot.
So
It's
it's
not
like,
all, not all.
You know, and it used to be, you know, you always hear those horror stories about, you know, superintendents hiding money in the lunch fund. That was always the place that they would hide it. But I mean, you can't do that anymore, and nor should you. I mean,
Right.
why would you want to do that?
We got a great group
So,
of teachers.
absolutely.
So,
Great.
since it's a 1-year deal,
Yes.
I assume can't even think about the next deal until the legislature meets again in the spring, right? Or,
Well, I mean, we know what our funding is going to be next year. What we don't know is what our enrollment will be.
yeah,
If we would happen to get another bump in enrollment, then I think, you know, there may be some ability to, you know, make some you know, to do something decent. But, you know, right now, you know, we've tried to set up, you know, again, watching what is recurring, you know, to try to give something to for next year. There's just a lot more questions than there are answers right now. And, whether there's any kind of conversation in the short session about lit or anything like that, which I don't know will happen or not. That might help our situation a little bit. So again, it's, you know, it's a balancing act. It's, you know, we're always juggling the funds, trying to make sure that everything is working.
so it's hard to even start, or it's hard to finish until you know your enrollment and those numbers.
Yeah. And
So this is gonna be a typical
Yes.
retroactive
Right.
October, November
Right.
agreement. Okay.
it's always been traditionally, since we've been in this process where you can just do a 2-year contract, we've operated on a 2-year contract. The last 3 years we haven't, just because there's been so much question. And it's a lot easier when it is a 2-year.
Yeah.
And but
We'll let Scott worry
I
about
think
it.
1 years are just going to be the way it's going to be.
Scott can worry about it.
And I think to Rob's point, also I'm encouraged because the type of week next year, with the relationship we have with the teachers, it's fantastic. Again, we have great conversations, we very cordial, I mean, very professional, very business, like we have points we go back and forth, but it's about as well, it's about as good a relationship. And if you watch these all, there maybe some other districts that aren't having this great that we had. So, again, something that, you know, if we take notes, something I've already got notes, something that we can look at next year. But, to Dr. Blaze's point, I mean, there's a lot to determine as far as what that model.
It would be great if we had 20 more students. I mean, that always, again, we wouldn't be able to do what we did this year without the increase in enrollment. So, and that is a trend that continues, then it'll be a little better.
Very good.
Good deal.
All right. Well, then I would close.
Thank
Any
you guys
comments from the community? Right.
All right.
With that, I would say we are adjourned, and thank you for coming in.
Yes, thank you
midweek
guys.
or midday or early day or whatever. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Conversation with legislators.